Let's freaking go, Bears fans. Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast, an emergency edition sponsored by DraftKings. As always, use that code CHGO to sign up with America's #1 rated sportsbook. All right, it happened. I told you guys yesterday, I said when I left the office yesterday, I said, hey, all hands on deck this weekend. Anything can happen at any given time. I'm glad my mock draft was fresh for about 5 hours, but it's still legit because they made the trade that was projected in the draft, at least the first of the two. I just didn't expect DJ Moore to come in the deal as well. What's going on, guys? Carm, you look like you've seen a ghost.
According to Joey, I'm echoing. Am I echoing?
There, it's like it sounds like a faint little like gerbil in the background. That's kind of what it sounds like.
A gerbil,
like a little gerbil. Things happen when the #1 overall pick is traded. Like people are like DMing me like, "Hey Nick, it seems like there's momentum or something." Like, all right, I'm staying put. I'm not going anywhere. So in case this happens, we're here to talk about it and see what's up.
So just to recap, in case you missed it or haven't seen it yet, the compensation for the trade we've been talking about and saying it could happen is in, according to Adam Schefter. The Bears trading the #1 overall pick to Carolina, one of the two desperate teams we've talked about that this could definitely happen with. Bears moving back to #9 in the trade. They also acquire pick number 61, which is a late second round pick. That is one of the picks the Carolina Panthers got in the Christian McCaffrey trade. So that's the 49ers original pick. It's a late second. They also get the first round pick that Ryan Poles wanted from 2024. So in next year's draft, the Bears do have an extra first round pick. That's something that they wanted. And then they get a second round pick in 2025. So if you're going, well, wait a minute, why did they not get an early second rounder this year? Or why did they not get those two future first round picks? It's because wide receiver DJ Moore is also coming to the Bears, according to Adam Schefter. So they do get that veteran that we've talked about and speculated. I had a feeling Ryan Poles wanted to bring back a veteran in one of these deals. Brian Burns was always the big guy that was talked about, but DJ Moore makes a ton of sense. Guys, DJ Moore is still only 25 years old, which is crazy to think about. He's entering his year 26 season, the prime of his career. He's on a completely reasonable contract. He signed an extension last year. Almost all of the guaranteed money left on his deal is in 2023. So if, worst case scenario happens, you can get out of this deal if you really need to, but he's still only 25, an immediate veteran to add to the group for Justin Fields, the help that everybody wanted Justin to get.
And Adam, too, like I know maybe people are like, oh, wait, Ryan Poles said he was going to get a 2025 first round pick. Well, DJ Moore was a first rounder, number 24 overall in 2018. So, I mean, you are getting, a former first round pick and someone who's been so productive in his career. We were talking right before we went live, Adam, like, how did this guy only have, over what? It was maybe 700 yards or it was, but there was so much fluctuation at the quarterback position in Carolina. But this guy's been consistent ever since he entered the league. But now you get a guy that can line up on the outside, can line up in the slot, a versatile wide receiver. I think it's going to mesh really well with what Luke Getsy wants to do in his offense.
All right, let's just stop for just 1 second and celebrate the fact that Ryan Poles told us on this show at the Combine that this was going to happen, and Hogue's been leaning into it, and here it is. We had it first, damn it. Poles said it to us before he said it to anyone else. I don't know if that's true or not, but we had it. That's one. Number two, look, we've been saying all offseason. We said it today earlier on the noon show that he is going to try to do logical things. This, to me, I'm not overly. There's you can nitpick this. You love to have another first round pick. You love to have higher second round picks, but you're also getting the wide receiver, as you guys are saying. He's trying to split the baby, man. He's trying to give Fields what he needs now and stock them up for the future. The disappointing thing about doing this now or doing this trade at all is you can't do the 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 9, 1 to 4, 4 to 9. So we just have the one deal. I mean, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, whoever's going to be at 9. But he's been talking. This was the most logical deal, and this was his split of the baby, and I'm here for it. Way to go, Ryan Poles. You gave us a whole lot of clarity right now.
I love the timing of this. I really liked the idea of getting a deal. Like if they were going to do a deal before the start of free agency, I figured it was going to involve a veteran player coming back too, so you could check off one of those needs, right? So now the Bears know going into free agency, what a class. Look, essentially, Poles has added Chase Claypool and DJ Moore before entering a free agent period where there's not really great options at wide receiver, right? Mm-hmm. Or and it's not a great wide receiver draft too. So, from a process standpoint, you like it. I mean, I still think that they gave up that early second round pick for Claypool hurts, but now you see all this draft capital coming back here in return, some of it just by sheer luck of the Texans winning that game in week 18 in Indianapolis. I mean, otherwise the Bears aren't in position to make this trade right now, right? The Panthers would be trying to move up either with the Texans or, going up to 2 when the Texans could still take the top quarterback. You don't get as much in return. So this is big time to add a veteran, to add a future first rounder, to add a future second rounder after that. And they don't have to be done. In my mock draft that we put out this morning on CHGO, there were 2 trades. The first trade was this one, not including DJ Moore, but it was this one moving back to number 9. And then on draft night, what if a quarterback falls and the Texans don't take their guy, or a different team wants to move up? You can still move around and add more draft capital in the second round. Does not mean that Poles is done at this point.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too, like adding that veteran wide receiver. Like we've been talking about the last 2 shows here at CHGO, how important that would be for Justin Fields. So that to me just sweetens the deal even more, knowing that you're getting a guy that is established, that has produced with not the best quarterback play, but now you get a guy for Fields who's going to be implemented to the offense. And like you said, Adam, like it may not be over. So, and I see some people in the chat, like, is it, could they trade back again? Absolutely. If they're not set on one of those guys there at 9, or if they still feel like the 6 to 8 players that they identified as a blue chip guys there's still a couple of them on the board when they're there at 9, trade back, see what else you can do. As we know, there's a lot of holes still on this roster, even with this trade. So it's definitely a possibility.
Somebody shout down Don Burr. We do have 2 first-round picks, Big Don. Kidding. We got the 9 and we got the 24. We just don't have a third one in 25, but we have a second rounder in 25, Burr. So settle down, anybody who's going at the Bears right now. Look, you're right. You're 1,000% right. And here comes the Duke with, of course, right off of Duke Island on a Friday. This is like, Friday celebration. Let's just go. Come on. I was literally in my car going to the United Center. I couldn't have been more nervous / excited for Cats Pets. They turned around to come home. Poppy the puppies to my right. The Bears are making moves. We've got 17,000 picks. We've got DJ Moore. Poles is stamping it. Come on. Let's go. Friday. Get the Goose Island rolling over there, Hogue. This is a big day.
My wife's only reaction was to hand me the Blackhawks pale ale, which is great, from Goose Island. That's all she did. She was literally pulling into the garage from the grocery store. I open the door while she's still in the garage. I go, Bears made a pick. I gotta go. And I run downstairs into my studio, and she opens the door like 3 minutes later and just hands me a beer. If that isn't love, I don't know what else is. I'm so there's a lot. Did you already read the Duke's super chat?
Not yet.
Okay. The Duke, remember this moment. Wow. $200 super chat coming in from the Duke. What a guy. What a big moment though. Although I think you had a bigger super chat when they got the first pick, but I think if you add them together, doing pretty well, Duke. Remember this moment when we win the Super Bowl in the next couple of years. This is where it started. This is an unprecedented haul, especially since we retain a top 10 pick this year. Credit to Braggs for stopping for this trade down. I'm shaking with excitement. Seems like most Bears fans are pretty damn excited about this. One way to look at it is, would you rather have the a first round pick in 2025, 2 years from now, or DJ Moore and a second round pick in that draft?
I'm going DJ Moore. Guys, it's so important to see what Fields can do, right?
Yeah.
In 2025, that's too long to wait. We need to see what he can do as a passer right now. DJ Moore is going to help hopefully accentuate that clock for Fields and just get him to be the passer that, Bears fans want to see. So I'm going with this trade. I know there's been a little bit of people in the chat there, they're seeing the trade and like, I don't know about this, but I think when it's all said and done, you're going to see why Ryan Poles decided to make this trade down, go to 9, still staying in the top 10, and get a player like DJ Moore to add to this roster.
Carm,
for the record, we're here. Greg Braggs is clearly somewhere because I'm hearing Big Ten sound in the background here, and it's distracting the hell out of me. So
in the media room at the United Center,
yeah, I'm like, I was so paranoid that I was the one that was causing the problem that I was looking at everything, and it's Raz and chat from the media room. Got to be here.
You're muted.
Braggs, the first part of joining the show is to unmute yourself.
Well, my mic was unmuted, but on the camera or on the screen it wasn't. I just got done running from the Billy Goat 4 blocks to the United Center into the bowels of the United Center to do this.
Were you just running down the street, just screaming and yelling about how happy you were?
My legs are screaming about as loud as I'm screaming. I let out a big scream at the Billy Goat. Everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. It was just the obvious trade partner, right? I mean, Scott Fitterer said it at the combine last week. I heard it. He was not denying it. And to see Ryan Poles pull the trigger before, free agency starts, it's just such a breath of fresh air. Would I have loved a 2025 first round pick? Sure. DJ Moore is certainly interesting. I didn't think that would be on the table for the Bears. So, it's money on the table time now for the Bears. They got all the weapons they need. DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet. See what they do with the running back. But, this is just such a huge step. And now I hate to fast forward because I want to celebrate this moment. But I mean, they might stay at 9. I could see them trading out of 9. I could see him doing it again. I mean, what did Ryan Poles say? He said, I know I can get a 2024 and a 2025 first round pick. There's been plenty of first round picks given up for the 9 spot in years past. So that's not off the table. When we talked, just the other day with Matt Verderam, he said from 15 to 60, the talent gap is not that different. So maybe Ryan Poles trades back again and takes another haul to get as many picks as he can between 15 and 60 and adds another first round pick. I don't know. I'm just asking the questions, but it's just so exciting to see a GM that knows what he's doing. He could not be more opposite than everything Ryan Pace was for the Chicago Bears.
It's also worth pointing out that with that number 61 overall pick, the Bears now have 4 picks in the top 64. And that number 64 pick is the first pick of the 3rd round, which, because the Dolphins don't have that pick in the 1st round, is essentially the last pick in the 2nd round. So, splitting hairs there. But the point is, 4 picks in the top 64 is a good place to be.
Read them off. Let's go. We've got the 9. What are we at? I want to hear
the
them.
9, the 53 from Baltimore, the 61 now from Carolina through San Francisco, because that, again, I mentioned earlier, came in the McCaffrey deal, and then number 64 overall, which is the Bears' original pick in the top of the 3rd round.
And I'm just, sitting here thinking, what will they do with the 9 if they keep it? But that's the beauty of this trade right now. They can go through free agency. Does it make sense for them to sign Orlando Brown? Are they paying him? Are they, whatever, McGlinchey, whoever you want to name, Jawan Taylor, is the do it this way. And here comes the Duke with $199 more coming right at you.
I love the Duke.
I mean,
yeah, he's coming right at
me.
Hogue.
Why don't you read it, Hogue?
Duke, I'm ready to get drunk on Duke Island right now. Send me the flight.
We all need to go.
Plane tickets.
Spring break in Duke Island. He says, you assume I'm done, Hogue. I think Fields is the guy, but next year we will know without a doubt. And if he isn't, we have 2 first-round picks. Panthers will probably be a high pick since they gave up their wide receiver 1 and rookie quarterback struggle. Next year we go get Caleb Williams if we need him. Look, this is kind of what the Eagles did last year. right? Like, so they moved up, or they moved back, excuse me. They added a first round pick. They knew they had 2 first rounders. So if it didn't work out with Jalen Hurts, they had draft capital. Now, this idea of going to get Caleb Williams if things go wrong, obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves, but that's going to involve some luck too, because for that to happen, you need whoever get the first round pick to the number 1 overall pick to essentially be like the Bears, which is we don't need to draft Caleb Williams. I don't know about that. Seems like whoever's going to have the number 1 pick next year is going to have a need for Caleb Williams unless you get a little lucky. But the process here is still sound. You like it. It gives you options. Anytime you have draft capital, it gives you options. So, and plus it doesn't matter because Justin Fields is going to win MVP next year, right, Braggs?
Exactly. Forget Caleb Williams. This pick is for Marvin Harrison Jr. That's who this pick is for, because Justin Fields is going to work out, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a GM that's going to build a team around him. He's proving it. And forget Caleb Williams. Marvin Harrison Jr., Chicago Bear next year.
Yeah, Caleb Williams talk is going to have to be banned on this show. They're not getting Caleb Williams. That's not happening. It was never happening. It's certainly not happening now as we're doing the poll split of the baby, give you weapons and get draft picks. 4 in the top 64. He's going to hit because he is Ryan Poles. I'm not saying he's going to hit on every one of them, but the Bears are going to be a lot better football team. And to get Caleb Williams at the top of the draft, you're going to have to land in the number 1 spot because they ain't trading out of that, 99% likely. So let's just move forward into the Bears making the playoffs next year. Let's just jump to that.
Can I also say we got 4,000 people watching this live? Hit the like button.
Let's go.
Hit the like button because I ran 4 freaking blocks for this, and I was screaming I ripped my shirt off. I'll do it again in this media room if you want.
That'll be the last of me in the media room.
If we hit 4,000 likes, I will rip my shirt off in this media room. I don't care. They can drag me out of here.
Oh, come on, Braggs. We want you covering that semifinal game tomorrow.
I please 4,000.
I won't let you do it.
I'm willing to do it for 2,000.
You're bargaining me down already.
4,000 likes. Braggs takes his shirt off at the UC. I want it on the record. I'm not encouraging this, but please hit the like button and hit subscribe. I'm guessing with all those people watching live right now, we might have some newcomers. We do this show every single day, and we're going to be doing this a lot. I feel like in the next couple of weeks, these emergency podcasts.
And so that chat just hit it. Thank you, Lovey, because if they don't win that game and we are the number 2 pick, we do not make this trade before free agency. We have to wait all the way to the draft because anybody that would want to trade up to 2 would have to see who's being picked at number 1. The fact that Lovey Smith, in his last effort as a head coach, gave us this gift from God is the reason this is happening right now. Thank you, Lovey.
All right. Now I'm gonna finish what I was doing there. Thanks, Braggs, for thanking Lovey. But as we try to add new people to this channel, please hit subscribe. Because if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification button, which was I was about to say, because as we have these emergency podcasts, you'll get the notification on your phone that we are going live. And, of course, we'll put it out on Twitter and all that, too. And as the Bears make adjustments, you're going to want to be a CHGO diehard because we have our NFL draft database and our free agency database that you get access to as a CHGO diehard. So go to allchgo.com/diehard. But yes, Braggs, your point is right.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I don't know what to do with my hands.
You're excited. Like this is hilarious actually, because you're really excited. You can see it like bursting out of you, but you're also trying to be respectful in that media room at the United Center. So you're like toning down your voice. It's actually quite enjoyable.
Doing a great job.
So hold on. Let's just all go through it here. First, immediate reaction when you saw the haul. What did you do? Braggs, you instantly, sounds like
somebody sent me the Ian Rappaport tweet. I immediately made sure it wasn't a fake tweet. And then when I saw that it wasn't a fake, because I'm learning after our trade deadline breaking news show, and then I completely screamed. And everyone around me, all these Michigan State fans drowning in their sorrows, looked at me like I was nuts. And then I told them what was happening, and they still looked at me like I was nuts. And they just don't understand because the Bears are coming. The Bears are coming. Ryan Poles, He's a mob boss. I love this dude. So I'm excited. That was my instant reaction.
Nick, what'd you do? I want first
So I've been-
Mariano.
Yeah, I was here still at the computer right after, we had finished up CHGO Bears earlier. I was playing little video games, and then I was talking to my girlfriend, and then boom, trade happened. I'm like, we're not going to go see that movie right now. Maybe later today. Who knows? But so I've been here, and, it was there was a lot of momentum for some reason, and then it happened. So not as exciting as Bragg's, but I was waiting and ready to go if need be. And of course it happened.
I want to shout out whoever yelled at us on Twitter, because you had it to me before Ian Rappaport did. It was wake the F up. And I instantly called Hogue for the record. Are you seeing this? Yeah, buddy, you better turn around.
I think my exact words were Northwestern doesn't matter right now. They do matter, by the way. I'm actually looking forward to this game coming up here in 25 minutes. How much is it killing you right now that you're not inside the United Center,
It's
Carm?
not
Be
killing
honest.
me at all. Couldn't be happier with what's going on right now. This is a great day for the Bears, great day for CHGO, great day for me to hang out with my buddies, great day to talk to people. And I mean, Ryan Poles, we're not going to build the statue quite yet, and I'm going a little bit too far because let's see how this whole thing plans out and what he does with everything. But talk about a guy who's gaining confidence with a fan base right now. I think that's what the GM is clearly doing.
Well, it's twofold, right? You got to be able to put yourself in the position to build this team, but now you have to hit on the picks. But the difference between Ryan Pace and Ryan Poles was Ryan Poles would sell the farm to move up for Anthony Miller, for Mitch Trubisky, for so many different players. He'd trade a pick for Nick Foles instead of waiting for him to be cut. He traded a pick for Nick Foles. This guy is trading back, adding draft picks, it's an analytical game. You're adding more, bullets to see which one actually hits. The more bullets you have, the better chance you have to hit. He's going to keep trading back either this year or next year. He's not going to stop because you got a lot of holes to fill. It's a smart way of doing business. You're not going to hit on every pick, but he's putting your team in position to hit.
QB1 is loving this right now, right? He is like, oh my God, you got me a receiver. You might get me another one. You've got money to spend. I am feeling so much better about my lot in life right now. There's no doubt.
Well, and also, like, just from an optics standpoint and a conversation standpoint, this can immediately end all the Justin Fields nonsense, So at least that's another, like, positive to this is it just, we can put all that to bed and we don't have to react to it on a daily basis. And Justin doesn't have to hear about it now. He's the guy. I think the Bears have made that completely clear. Not completely clear because I guess he, Poles could have come out and said that, but now he will, I'm sure, whenever the next time we hear from him. And I'm sure it will be in the next week or so as the Bears open up free agency. So I want to make a suggestion. The Bears can, take it or leave it. But whatever the first home game is next year, I think you have Lovie Smith as your honorary captain. And you bring him to the 50-yard line and you bring him back into the family. And he and Flus have a good relationship. Maybe you even hire him as a senior defensive assistant. Just bring them all the way back in. This is a Lovie Smith celebration.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I never was a Lovie fan, but forever going forward, I mean, might as well build a Lovie statue at this point if this thing works out too. Let's go. RM, let Lovie announce our draft pick. Great call, RM. Lovie to me is like straight hero status at this point. When Greg Braggs humped the inflatable bear at CHGO because of Lovie, and that's one of my greatest moments in
Bring that bear to the
history.
Media room. Bring the bear to the media room. I will hump him right now, right in front of Dave and Nett.
Oh no! Keep that bear alone. Leave him alone.
Grant Hill was in here earlier. I'll hump that bear right in front of Grant Hill.
Okay.
All right.
That's enough of that. There's a question up there a second ago. How much are the Bears paying DJ Moore? Here's what I can tell you with his contract. So signing bonus money stays with Carolina in a trade like this. So you don't have to deal with that in the cap hit. The base salary for DJ Moore this coming season is $19.9 million. So he's getting a pretty good paycheck, but that 35.7 Excuse me. So his cap hit would have been $25 million with Carolina. It'll only be that base 19.9 plus a little bit of a workout bonus. Totally affordable for the Bears in the situation they're in, but certainly add that to the cap. Consider that as this a free agent acquisition and that money going towards the cap, barring some type of restructure. Otherwise, the only thing guaranteed the rest of the way after this 2023 season on DJ Moore's contract, this according to Spot Track, is $1.11 million of his 2024 salary. And there's also a roster bonus in 2025. I mean, basically, guys, this thing is he's due $15 million in 24, a $14.8 million in 25. This is a very, very reasonable, flexible contract for a player as good as DJ Moore. Now, let's talk about his stats as he's going into year 6 already. And what'll be his year 26 season, his age 26 season, I should say. And this is somebody that for 3 straight seasons put up over 1,100 yards with Carolina. Now, last year that went down to 888 yards on 63 catches, but I think you also have to factor in the situation he was in with the Panthers quarterback woes last season. And quite frankly, they haven't had much great quarterback play before that, and he was still putting up the numbers he did. So matching a talent like DJ Moore to Justin Fields is essentially exactly the name of the game here, and there's no question it immediately helps Darnell Mooney. It helps Chase Claypool take the pressure off of those guys. It's just a different situation. And Kevin Kadick jumping in here with a $10 super chat. I have the number 9 balloon covered. Who wants to pony up for a D or a J? I was wondering about this. So we're obviously not in studio right now. The number 1 balloon, as of yesterday when I was in there, was still flying high, but I've always had this theory that when the Bears make this trade, like, we're going to walk in there Monday and the balloon's going to be deflated.
It did its job, Adam. If that's the case, the number 1 balloon did its job. It stayed afloat for as long as it could. And if that is the case on Monday when we all go back to the studio, hey, good job, number 1 balloon. Good job.
I think it stays alive a little bit longer if I had to guess, just so it wants to be remembered. I don't think it wants to go away quite yet, but maybe come draft day, that's when it says, okay, I've done my work. I've blessed you. And now you guys are on your own. But as far I'm all in for the D or the J. I would love to contribute to a $38 D balloon, and I'm sure Braggs or Nick or anybody in our office is right there for full DJ 9. Let's go Bears Friday polls. Come on, man.
What a beautiful day.
Do you guys all like DJ Moore as a player? Because I'll admit, like, I like DJ Moore, but I've never been like, go get DJ Moore or bust. I certainly think he's a great piece. I mean, if you had what's kind of blown me away about this trade and why I think Poles is such a good job is because I always thought, like, if you were going to get a veteran player in return, you might not get that future first round pick, depending on how good he is. And Moore's good enough that you feel great about it. You still got the first round pick next year and a second round pick the year after that. That's huge.
Listen, there were rumors that they were going to trade for DJ Moore. I admittedly, I'm not watching Carolina Panther football every single week, so I don't have a huge breakdown other than the fact that he's just been a solid player. He fits a huge need. He's in his prime. It's a reasonable contract. You're dealing with Carolina. Who logically could we use if we're not going to get that number 1 overall pick? I mean, everything about it just makes sense to me. So that's where my thumb up. Is this real, by the way, from Shane Hickey? Is that $279 American dollars?
Shane Hickey's putting us on the spot here.
I think it might be Canadian dollars. But Braggs, this super chat is strictly to see you, Hulk Hogan, that cardigan off your back, bear down, pulls the MVP.
Oh, my God. You know what? If I didn't get everyone in trouble for doing this, I would freaking rip it off, Shane. So somehow I'm going to have to make it up to you.
You can make it up. I'll tell you this. You can make it up in studio next week or on our next emergency pod where you're at home.
Oh, man. What a beautiful day.
Because you got to come through with that. The guy, 279 Canadian dollars. You got to.
What does that translate to? I don't know what the
Still a
currency
lot.
exchange
More money
is.
than in my
It's
account.
probably like $20 or something.
No.
I'm kidding.
So, guys, real quick, I've seen a lot in the chat about, hey, is JSN? Is he still an option for the Bears at 9? Or does that mean the Bears are out on another wide receiver? For me, if I'm thinking, if the Bears are selecting at number 9, I don't think they double dip at wide receiver. That's just, I mean, given how many holes that this team has, I think they're out on JSN. If they're strictly staying at 9, what do you guys think? Is he still an option?
I don't think they're out on him yet, Nick. I think it depends on free agency. I still think you want more weapons. And I'm not saying that Ryan Poles is just going to do things just to appease Justin Fields, but the Fields part of it is an interesting little tidbit in the equation. So, I mean, I don't know. Well, this is the beauty of the deal that he knows exactly where he's sitting. He doesn't have to worry about the trade part, and it in theory can allow him to be even more aggressive in free agency.
Yeah, it's interesting because Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney only have 1 year left on their contract. So you wouldn't think that they're going to go after JSN after a move like this, and they probably won't. But Ryan Poles said, we want playmakers. DJ Moore is a playmaker. So while I think probably wide receivers off the board, don't be surprised if they grab one of these tight ends from a deep tight end group at some point in the second round, especially if they trade back one more time and add more draft picks in the second or third round. That's somewhere I could see them going, but JSN probably is off the table, as fun as that sounded.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's off the table. I think that we're seeing a long-term approach here from the GM, and he seems to be following that approach and trying to strategically add veterans here when he can. And like I said earlier, you could still trade back again, and then maybe he's the best player on the board and you still take him because you're trying to help your quarterback as much as possible.
I honestly feel like they're going to. That's my gut feeling that they're going to trade back again. Let's see. It won't happen till the night of the draft because you got to see if maybe Richardson falls there or Jalen Carter falls there or whoever, and then they're going to trade back again. That's my prediction.
Go ahead.
No, I think that's on the table. And that's why I put it in my mock draft today is that, there's been sort of this smoke in this conversation about what if the Texans don't draft a quarterback at number 2? And maybe this prevents them from doing so. Like, I don't know who their guy is, but let's say it's Bryce Young, and maybe the Panthers just swooped up there and took him right now with they control the draft now. The Panthers do. So maybe they take the Texans guy and the Texans go, you know what? We're just going to take Will Anderson. We're going to get a great defensive player. We're not in a hurry here. It's going to help our defense. Remember, DeMeco Ryans is the defensive guy. But in that conversation, I feel like people are forgetting they still have the 12th pick. And usually a quarterback falls. It happened with Justin Fields just a few years ago. And if that starts to happen, maybe that's where they take their swing at quarterback because whoever their second guy is falls a little bit farther back. And so now they call Ryan Poles and they say, hey, can we jump up the 9 to grab our guy? I mean, or it could really be any team that wants to move up, but I think it's totally possible. And then maybe that's where Poles gets that extra second round pick or even more draft capital early in the third, maybe that Texans third round pick, which is what I did in my mock draft today. It's in play.
You know what's interesting on the flip side?
What was that noise you just made?
I have no idea. Just stick with me here. Stick with me. Listen, a lot going on. Look, I'm curious from. Like if I'm a Carolina Panther fan right now, I'm kind of like, who are you so hyped to go up and get, right? And then you flip it on the other side. What happens? The only way that Poles maybe comes out not looking great in this is if the Panthers are like, all right, well, you didn't do this, but we're gonna go 1-2 and 2-4 and take our quarterback. I highly doubt that Scott Fitterer is doing that. But it's interesting to me, like, who are they identifying that they absolutely have to have? Like, that to me sounds like a whole Ryan pace. Like, when you had conviction, you got to go up and get him. Like, there just doesn't seem to be that guy in the draft, but they had to go up, and apparently there is for them.
Well, there's a YouTube video out there that my good friend Shane Marsaw sent me of Josh McCown breaking down film of CJ Stroud. And you can clearly tell in this video how big Josh McCown is a fan of CJ Stroud. But when I talked to Scott Fitterer and Frank Reich at the Combine, I asked them both Bryce Young specific questions, and they both spent 2.5 minutes glowing about Bryce Young. So it's certainly going to be interesting between those three who their preference is. If I had to guess, no, my buddy Shane thinks it's CJ Stroud. I think it's Bryce Young because they talked about poise. They talked about not being afraid of the moment. And I just when somebody asked him about Will Levis, it took him one sentence to answer the question. When I asked him about Bryce Young, he spent 2.5 minutes answering it about how much he liked him. So I think it's Bryce Young.
Will Levis, doesn't he put mayo in his coffee? Isn't that a thing?
That's the word on the street. You don't like milk or something like that. That's what I heard.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
It's a joke. It was a joke.
I think he did like one time, but
it's a joke.
Yeah.
Well, a joke. That's messed up.
Hoax.
It's
To Hoag's thing on the quarterback, I mean, there's more and more mocks that have 4 of the first 5 picks being quarterbacks. Anthony Richardson jumping into the top 5. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how it's going to go, but that movement to me feels real. So, I mean, if you're a Texans fan right now, you got to be puking, by the way. All right, we're getting we might get our number 1, we might not. Thanks, Lovey. Thanks Bears. Thanks Panthers.
I'm sure they're
kind of
somewhat relieved though that it wasn't the Colts that moved ahead of them within their own division, right?
Yeah,
and
true.
within their own conference.
Yeah, I mean that was the angle of those the interesting part of those two teams playing each other in that game was by beating the Colts, you potentially open yourself up to lose twice and maybe even worse by letting them move up again ahead of you. So you know it's I love that this trade happened now. It sets you up for free agency. The Bears still have a top 10 pick. They still have the number 9 overall pick. There's a bunch of guys that they can look at. I think some of those guys we should discuss right now. I mean, part of the reason why I concentrated on this area of the draft in my mock draft this time is because we haven't really talked about a lot of these guys. I mean, Peter Skoronski is one of them. Is he still available at number 9? I don't know, but he's in, I think, that kind of tier of players. So you still could come out of here with a tackle, with a great offensive lineman. Lucas Van Ness from Iowa is potentially a really good 4-3 defensive end, prototypical guy with the size and length that Flus wants. He's in play. If Skoronski goes off the board, is Paris Johnson still around? Does a guy like Tyree Wilson fall? Does just Jalen Carter come and play at 9?
Yep.
How far does he fall? Is he in a spot where then maybe you added this draft capital, so now you feel a little bit more comfortable taking that risk that you didn't want to do that far, high up in the draft? I mean, I think there's a lot of things to discuss. And RJ jumping in here at $9.99, does it make sense for the Bears to still take JSN and have a super wide receiver? And we just addressed that a few minutes ago. I know a lot of people are jumping in here as we go, but I'm okay with it. That's how I answered that. I wouldn't take him off the board at all just because you added DJ Moore here. I'd add all the talent I possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney only have 1 year left on their deal. Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney both got hurt at the end of last year. So depth was our biggest problem last year. And now it's going to become a strength potentially in our wide receiver room.
Well, and just to the point I was making a second ago about the quarterbacks and to what you're laying out here, Adam, there could be a ton of guys that he's super hot about at 9 if it goes that way. The more that, clearly for the Bears now, the more quarterbacks that get taken, the better. It looks like it's going to go that way. He might be sitting there with 4 guys that he likes, maybe, a lot, maybe more. And then to your Braggs' point, that might make it a little bit easier for him to trade out and not necessarily, and maybe he doesn't go down super far to get one of the guys that he likes, a little bit further down at 15, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, JSN is not going to happen at this point. I mean, you're in a position of power, just depending on how they attack free agency. You can go a few different ways with this. I know a lot of people are big on Devin Witherspoon from Illinois. I love him. I mean, secondary is one of our strengths somewhat on this team in comparison to other things. I would love a guy like Devin Witherspoon. I mean, obviously, you're going to look at guys on the edge, on the defensive line. I'm not as big on Skoronski as others, so it'll just be interesting to see where they go.
Yes, I mean, I think too, like obviously in this draft, you address a wide receiver position, right, with DJ Moore, but you do need to beef up these lines at some point. So if they draft an offensive line with Skoronski, Paris Johnson, if they're available at 9, Lucas Van Ness was a guy that I was vouching for
man, I
at
would
9
love
as well.
Lucas Van Ness.
I think, yeah, I mean, he fits what Adam was saying, fits what the 4-3 defensive end, and he can also play a little bit inside. So, I think the big thing too, this move, like Ryan Poles, he has options, right? There's just options. He's not pigeonholed to one thing now. And obviously, I mean, trading back, there isn't that opportunity to maybe trade back again if one of those quarterbacks falls. But that's what's kind of nice about this move, and obviously getting the draft capital in the future. But no longer, I don't think we could say now the draft doesn't go through the Bears now. Now it goes through Carolina. So that was the thing leading up until today, and now we see what Carolina will do.
Yeah, but having the number 1 pick in a draft where you're not picking a quarterback and maybe it was down to one guy that was even worth drafting at that spot. I mean, I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Now you go back to 9, you do it how you would normally do it. You have your cloud of players. And we're showing you right now what you can get if you're a CHGO diehard. This is our if you're watching live on YouTube right now, you can see our NFL draft board. We're going to kind of come to a consensus and move these guys around as we get closer and closer to the draft. But with every player in here, as we add our own notes, you see highlights, you see our opinions on these guys. Some are filled out, some are not, but we're getting to that point. And Joey, if you click on the ones that have the blue check mark, those are the ones that have a bunch of stuff in there. And we're doing this on a day-by-day basis. So it's a lot of fun, and it gets you the information. And now I'm just like, my mind's spinning because I'm like, oh, there's a whole extra group of players now that we have to consider. Wide range. I mean, you're number 9. You're talking about anybody who could be projected in the top 10 to, the back half of the first round, because guys always go in a different spot than is projected after really the top 6 or 7 picks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, and again, when we had Matt Verderam on, and that 15 to like 60 range, he was thinking like that's there's not a big difference between a lot of those prospects and how you rank them. So that goes in the Bears' favor if that's what it ends up being. And you can get a quality player still at 9. You get probably a still quality player at 12 too, right? If you trade back, if Houston wants to trade up, who knows? But again, options. I like that the Bears have options.
So if they stay at 9, I'd prefer it to be an offensive or defensive lineman. So that's that's your biggest need. That's where some of the horses are going to be. But if you trade back again, and I see people bringing it up in the chat, I love Bijan Robinson. To me, he is the safest player in this draft. You know exactly what you're getting with this guy. The only way I'd be willing to do something like that, because drafting running backs in the first round is not a value in the NFL anymore. This dude is a player, and he also has a relationship with Justin Fields. They work out on the side in the offseason. He said that at the combine. So there's a relationship there. And if they were to trade back one more time and start adding more picks between 15 and 16, like Nick is saying, maybe you do attack a guy like Bijan Robinson. Playmakers. That's what Ryan Poles said. So that's who I'm looking at.
If I'm making a wager right now, I'm going to say it's going to be a defensive player. I think they're going to address free agency, address the offensive line in free agency, and I think you're going to go at one of the guys that Flus mainly / Poles / Alan Williams loves to add to that defense. That would be my guess on March the 10th at 5:28 on the best day in Bears history in the last, I don't know, second best day in Bears history in the last third best day in Bears history. I'll throw drafting Fields, getting the one, and this top 3 days in the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Where are we going?
I mean, you're right. I mean, when you talk about what we had to go through in the Pace Trubisky era and the double doink, since then, it ended with that Fields pick. We've had so many great moments, and we haven't had actual great moments on the field yet, but it's building towards that moment. New president, new stadium, number 1 pick, field, everything. The stars are starting to align. It's a law of averages. The Cubs won a World Series. So one day the Bears are going to win a Super Bowl.
Lovie Smith to the Cubs is Jason Hayward. Dude did absolutely nothing, but had the greatest speech ever. Lovie Smith did absolutely nothing except they loved him and they had a great defense. I'll give you some credit, but now this is what that's his claim to fame. It's Lovie / Jay Hay. Let's go.
I see we have 4,000 people in the live chat and only 1.3 thousand likes. How's Greg going to take off his shirt in the media room if we don't get
to 4,000 likes?
4,000.
4,000 likes.
I'm just worried that
let's go.
Braggs, you're gonna have to save your voice. You need to stop yelling.
No, I'm good. I will
Rutgers or whoever you're yelling at because we got a lot of potting to do here.
Our guy Kyle from CHGO is over there.
Yeah.
We got Kyle. Nice.
Cool story.
What's that?
Cool story.
Cool story. Hey, I'm just saying, we got family in the house. I'm excited to see Kyle. I'm going to give Carm the biggest hug. Last week, we were rivals in the Penn State Northwestern. Northwestern's winning tonight. I'm rooting for Northwestern. We're family.
Oh, that's the biggest news of the day.
I hope so. Carm, if you would like to leave and go to the game, you can.
I'm gonna hop into my car and jump back on and see if you guys are just going, and just if you don't let me back on, I'll just listen. But this is what a day, gentlemen. I feel privileged to be with you, and I feel privileged that we had Poles on the show, and he basically said if it does happen, it's going to happen fairly quick, and that's exactly what happened. He was speaking truths. He didn't just say it to us, but he did say it to us. So let's take that. And great day to be a Bear fan. Bottom line, this is a win.
All right, Duke, go enjoy your cats. And are
you staying on for the next 4 hours? Are you going to be on after cats too? Are we going all night?
No, I'll stay here. Yeah. If these guys go, I'll just talk into the abyss until past midnight. You've seen me on Spaces on Twitter. I will sit here with these 4,000 people until 5 a.m. and talk about every single scenario.
That's what I want to. I'd like you to keep talking until I get there to talk there, with you. So keep going.
Well, this one I feel like we could pull off. The Duke 99.99. Can I get one yelled brick by brick in the room you're in, Braggs? You don't have to yell it. You can just give a solid, good
brick by brick.
I was paying attention to see if people were going to turn. No one turned.
Brick by brick.
No, get up from your seat, and whoever is right behind you in that purple thing, just go over and give her a high five or him a high five. I can't tell, and say, "What's up?" Brick by brick, and that's all you got to do. You can do it. How about the guy over there to your your right, standing up? Just give him a high five.
I'm not harassing media members. All right, Mark.
Good for you, Braggs. Tell Carm to shove it.
That dude is a Bears fan. That dude loves the Bears.
Chris Bowden was sitting here a minute ago.
I would have done Chris Bowden over there and give him a high five.
Bowden should come on the pod.
God, Bowden.
By the way, last time the Panthers had the number 1 overall pick, who did they draft?
Cam Newton.
There you go.
And 2011. Go ask somebody in there if they know who Jack Sanborn is. Let's make a move. That was a great one, RM.
Let's make a move.
I'm calling Kyle over here. Our CHGO family. That's what you'll get. Kyle Williams, our guy.
Go to the game, Carm. Stop trying to get Braggs in trouble.
The Chicago Bears traded the number 1 pick to the Panthers for a haul. How do you feel? Are you shocked? Did you not know until I just told you?
I didn't know. Oh, wow. So what picks did they get back?
A lot of picks. Next year's
And DJ
first,
Moore.
next year's second, this year's second, and DJ Moore. How do you feel?
They got DJ Moore.
They got DJ Moore.
The Bears are back.
Bears
I've
are
never
back.
seen a team with a Bear. Man, Justin Fields, DJ Moore, we're back.
They
Bears
want
are back.
They want me to rip my shirt off in here. Will I get kicked out if I do that?
I think you might.
I might.
Yeah, you definitely will. And
I don't
and
want
would-
you to do
Kyle.
that for the record.
and I would encourage them to. I would encourage them to kick you out. Kyle Williams, who our intern, and just gonna lap us all in about 10 years what we're doing in life.
I just broke news to him, and it wasn't fake.
He's already ahead of me.
That's
See,
good. That's
That's
good.
how you know
Making progress.
Kyle is grinding at the Big Ten tournament, doing his job. He's not distracted, running from the Billy Goat, with Bears news. He's just grinding away. I mean, you're neglecting your Purdue people right now.
Go Cats.
There you go.
There it is.
The Big Ten tournament was starting to separate us here at CHGO, and I feel like this was such a needed moment to bring us all back together because we were starting to get divisive, and now here we are as a family coming together to celebrate this momentous occasion.
I
Sure.
agree. I needed some love. All right, I'll see you in a minute in my car.
All right, Carm, go ahead. I would just say this. If we have any other super chats or questions, we should fire those in here before we get out of here. But, there's a lot to digest here. I see DJ Moore putting on his, surprised face emojis on Twitter.
Ooh.
And then Jason McKee responding, welcome to the Shy. It's a good response. Hey, JR Mayberry, $2. Does this move make us more appealing to free agents? That's actually an interesting question. I will always say this and answer any question like that with this. The most appealing thing in free agency is money. So that's number one. But other things do matter. Being in Chicago, the facilities, if things are close, you can kind of, and then of course, how close you are to winning. That depends on, age of some of these free agents, how close they are to the end of their careers. And they might say, you know what, the Bears aren't that close to winning. So I don't want to go there. On the other hand, they might see the Bears making a move like adding DJ Moore, being like, well, maybe they're not as far off as I thought. And so maybe I'll make that leap. But at the end of the day, it usually comes down to what's the best offer.
And the Bears have the most to offer in terms of cap space, right? So I think if they're seeing a lot of people we talked to at the Super Bowl, Adam, they're at the Senior Bowl when I was down there, only raving about Justin Fields and what some of the team's players that he played against were saying about him. So that I think speaks volumes too. You want to go play with Justin Fields. Now he's got a nice new weapon and guy to throw to in DJ Moore. So maybe that'll pull some weight.
Yeah. I know we got a couple other questions that we'll throw in here. Joey, whichever one you want to throw up there is good with me. Vandell says, so not getting Brian Burns, do the Bears got to Frank Clark in free agency? $10 super chat there.
I doubt it. I don't know, Frank. I mean, when we were talking, it was funny. Frank Clark likes to get a lot of his sacks when they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, that's probably not where the Bears are going to be, but the Bears do need guys that can rush after the quarterback. But yeah, Brian Burns is an awesome player. He's going to stay in Carolina, and the Bears, it's still a position of need for them.
Yeah. Frank Clark turns 30 in June. So he's entering his age 30 season, former second round pick. I'm not going to completely rule it out, but I don't know that he's necessarily hit the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's a good question.
Good question. Yep.
Next up, we got Manny. Biggest losers in this trade are the Colts, $199. You can make that argument. That's where this is one of the things we've talked about during all the speculation over the last couple months is just like you kind of create a bidding war, perhaps even among teams that are reluctant. If you're the Colts and you're not necessarily sold on one guy, or you feel like you don't have to go up and get your one guy, then you're probably willing to sit there, but you can't feel great about getting, passed up by another team now is taking a quarterback. And your division rival in the Texans could take the next guy then at number 2. So, and you're not going to be trading with the Texans, right? That would be very surprising to see those two teams deal, unless the Texans feel like they really don't care which quarterback would be going to their division rival. So yeah, I think that this definitely increases the chances that the Colts pick at number 4, unless they move up to number 3, because they feel like they have to get their guy at number 3 because 2 other quarterbacks are off the board. Very fascinating situation to look at it from the Indy perspective.
Yeah, I think there's just a sense of urgency that they need to have, right? Because you can't get passed up again, right? If you're sitting at 4 with that 3rd spot there, and if they only like 2 QBs, or let's say it's 3, now you got to make a move, right? If you're Indy. So there's a sense of urgency they need to have. They want to get their guy at the quarterback position.
Yeah. So a lot of different ways to look at this trade. I think that what's interesting is what comes next. I mean, I don't see the Bears. I could still see them signing another wide receiver, but I don't think it's going to be one that's huge money or anything like that. I mean, I think
later in the draft, right? I mean,
I don't rule out early in the draft. I mean, if you're going down this road with Justin Fields, you have to do everything you can in the next few months to supplement him with all the pieces and help that he did not have last season.
Well, I just feel like if you trade back again, which is my prediction, and you add more picks between 15 and 60, as nice as JSN sounds as far as that chemistry with Justin Fields, Zay Flowers in the 2nd round. If he's there early and you've addressed some needs before that and through free agency, go after Zay Flowers and just blow the roof off. You saw what it did for Jalen Hurts, putting all these wide receivers around him, and then you find out exactly who Justin Fields is. And maybe he just might show some people that doubt him.
There goes Carm.
I love hearing myself twice.
Yeah, it's always
we already hear myself enough.
Carm brought it. Yeah, Carm comes and then something happens.
He's got FOMO. You know,
if we're having audio problems on a remote pod, there's a 99% chance Mark Carman, Mr. Radio, is causing the problems.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
It's fair.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
I need to go to Mark's apartment and kind of, he has the same mic as I do, but for some reason there's just something not working right. So I'll go and fix that up for him and get him up to speed a little bit.
That's what it's taking, Carm. Instead of you just going out and doing your job, Nick's got to come do it for you. Mr. Gadget guy to the rescue again. That's why we love Nick so much. Eli jumping in $499. This money on his contract this year will also help reach the cap floor without really having to overspend in this mediocre free agent class. Great work. Yeah, it's a fair point because they do have to reach that floor, and it's actually a cash floor. Part of it is a cash floor, and $19 million. That helps, right? Reach that floor. Joe Person from The Athletic, who covers the Panthers, tweeted out 10 minutes ago, the Bears consider DJ Moore a must-have in this deal, source said. Including Moore in the deal kept the Panthers from throwing another first-round pick into the package. So I read that as the Panthers may have wanted to or prefer to send a 2025 first-round pick. Instead, they send a second, but they have to throw DJ Moore in the deal. So if that's what Ryan Poles wanted, then he stood firm and got what he wanted.
And that surprises me because I thought that could be a situation, whether it be Brian Burns or DJ Moore. I thought it was more so about Brian Burns. But if I was Poles, I probably would have taken the pick and not the player. So it surprises me that Ryan Poles preferred the player.
Yeah, it doesn't to me because I think it depends on the player. And I think Nick made a great point earlier in the pod that, 2025, that's the 5th year of Justin Fields' contract, right? Like, are we going to help this guy sooner or later? You know what I mean? So this gets you that help right away. And the only difference is for first and second round, which is a considerable difference, but it's like you're getting the help immediately. And, oh, by the way, he's only going to be 26 this year, DJ Moore. He's a veteran who's established in the league, has already put up 3 seasons over 1,100 yards in his career. I mean, I love the idea that instead of an unknown 2 years from now, 3 drafts away, you're getting that help immediately to help Justin Fields in what's a crucial year 3.
Well, and to that point, isn't this the second time around now with Claypool and now this, where this front office is showing how much they believe in Justin Fields? Because they would have taken the pick if they weren't sure about Justin Fields. They would not take another quarterback with a big or wide receiver with a big contract. Take Chase Claypool with the second pick, trading their second round pick, and now making this move for DJ Moore instead of a first round pick, potentially or allegedly. That shows me just how much they believe in Justin Fields, getting him his guys now.
Yeah, I think, guys, they just don't want to have any I don't know if the right word is excuses, but they once it's all said and done, when all the moves are done, free agency, the draft, they have what Justin Fields is going to need to show him what he's capable of. And I think the Bears wanted to make sure that he was in a position to do so. Very similar to Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Because there was a bunch of question marks after his second season, but now we figured out what kind of player he is. So I think the Bears just want to put themselves in that position as well with Justin Fields. And they're doing it so far with these moves, and there's going to be plenty more to come through free agency and the draft that will also show you, how Justin Fields can be as a passer with the right talent around him.
Joe Person also tweeting with the story here. Again, he covers the Panthers for The Athletic, that the sense around the league is that the Panthers are going up for C.J. Stroud. So
I like C.J. Stroud.
I like it. I told you guys the other day, he's my number one quarterback, and kind of clearly at this point. I like him. I think he gives you enough of what Bryce Young gives you from a passing standpoint and being calm in the pocket, and the way he throws the ball, his arm's actually probably a little bit better too. And he's got the size that Young doesn't. That's why, to me, it's quite simple that he's the guy I have at the top. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And now I guess that still opens the door to the Texans getting Bryce Young, who it seems like they're enamored on. And I don't know what it means for the Colts then.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Got to jump in the Aaron Rodgers derby here? Or I don't know.
Man, that would be interesting. With him looking like he's going to be a Jet for sure.
Or, the Colts are the team that makes a lot of sense to, in my opinion, to put an offer out there for Lamar Jackson and just see what happens. So maybe this accelerates that process for them too. A $69, very nice super chat. How do we say that? Yahi? I hope I'm pronouncing that.
I think so. Yeah.
Yahi. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. I'm probably saying it wrong, but he says, I love y'all. That is all. We love you too, buddy.
That's a nice super chat.
It's good stuff. Again, please if you're watching right now, please hit subscribe. If you are not already subscribed to the CHGO channel, we are here with live shows every single day on all your favorite Chicago sports teams. Bears show is live every day at noon, and then whenever we want to. That's the cool thing about YouTube, is we can just, news is breaking, let's jump on and do a show for you. And that's what we're doing right now. So make sure you also hit that notification button so you know when we go live. It's going to be very, very handy here in the next couple weeks, because I have a feeling we're going to do this a few times. And you can also become a CHGO diehard at allchgo.com/diehard. Get all of our content, premium content, discounts on merch and events, and also access to our free agency database, which is going to come in handy this week, as well as our draft board, which is changing by the day, as evident with the news today and the draft order completely changing. If you're just joining us, we should probably summarize the trade that happened today, and it's a lot, but the Panthers move up for that number 1 overall pick, and in return, the Bears get the Panthers' 9th pick in this year's draft. They get the 61st overall pick in this year's draft, which is a late second rounder that the Panthers received in the Christian McCaffrey trade with the 49ers. So they get an extra late second rounder. That gives the Bears 4 picks in the top 64. And they also get the 2024 first round pick from the the Panthers and a 2025 second-round pick plus DJ Moore. That is a lot for one pick, all thanks to Lovie Smith, as we've pointed out a few times.
So 953, 61. Is it 103 round 4? Like it's a high.
And 64.
Like, yeah, and so I mean,
yeah,
it's a lot of picks to really get some quality players that can come in and start for a team that's desperate for people to just take their positions, to be completely honest, because a lot of the guys that were on this roster a lot of them were on 1-year deals. There's going to be some vacancies here, so a lot of rookies can be starting next year, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. We saw Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker were doing, Velus Jones Jr. towards the end of the year, so there's going to be a lot of young players with already young roster already getting some quality minutes and hopefully getting better throughout the season.
If I'm going to put you guys on the spot right now, and commenters can jump in too, with just simply putting in the name that you want. But right now with the number 9 pick, let's say the Bears stay there at number 9. I know Braggs is still trying to pull off 7 more trades, but the Bears stay there at number 9. Who's your guy right now? Who is your guy?
Me and Nick have the same guy. I guarantee it.
I'm going Lucas Van Ness from Iowa, and that's just not the Iowa Hawkeyes talking to me. I think it just makes sense for the Bears. What they need as an edge rusher, what he can provide. There's just so much upside with him. Very young player, redshirt sophomore, did a little bit of everything at Iowa, played inside, played outside this past season, but he's got a bull rush that's going to be tough to stop at the next level. And once he starts adding in some of those pass rush moves, Lucas Van Ness is going to be a menace to opposing offensive linemen. So if I'm putting in the pick for polls right now at number 9, it's Lucas Van Ness.
Right. I always joke on Twitter that I'm the one highlight guy. I see one highlight on Twitter, that's my guy. All you have to see, if it's coming down to Lucas Van Ness and Peter Skoronski, go watch Lucas Van Ness versus Peter Skoronski.
So you're going to stop yourself right now. You're going to base your draft pick on one rep.
You got
This
it.
is how, okay. This
No.
is why
It's a joke.
fired.
It's tongue in cheek. I'm not fired. I'm hired.
Not fired.
What? It's tongue in cheek. I watched Lucas Van Ness all year. He's a menace. But versus Peter Skoronski, he took this dude for a ride with the bull rush, the stiff arm. He literally took this dude for an 8-yard ride into the quarterback's lap. I'll take the one who won that matchup. One play.
All right. Well, I'm going to stand up for my guy, Peter Skoronski, and I'm going to take him. I still think, I think you address, I think a lot of what happens the next week in free agency is defense. And I think in the draft, you jump in and you address the offense, and I'm going with Peter Skoronski at number 9. All right. We have a Will DeWitt sighting.
Baby.
He's holding a child. What's up, Will?
That's right. Hey guys, apparently big trades happen when I'm not here, but that's okay. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're in Texas somewhere, right?
Yeah, we're in Galveston, Texas. We're walking in to grab some dinner right now. So I just wanted to hop on, say I just caught up on the trade. I kind of get what they're getting back, but we have a wide receiver. That's the one thing I saw right away. We have a wide receiver. That's pretty awesome, right? Nah, he's not feeling it.
Amazing.
Yeah, he feels, I don't know. I'm not sure he's digging the trade.
No, it's definitely past bedtime already. So we're pushing our luck here with some dinner.
Yeah, that happens.
That's awesome.
Are you a DJ Moore guy, Will?
I am now.
There you go.
That's all.
Now you have to be.
Now. Absolutely. Oh, gosh, he's running towards the road. This is not safe. But no, I am excited they made this trade. Unfortunate timing. Looks like the draft compensation, considering the fact that they got the wide receiver, is pretty remarkable. So I'm a happy guy.
All right. Well, I don't want to see any children get harmed in the making of this emergency podcast.
Yeah, that sounds great. I appreciate it, guys. But thanks for making the 3 minutes, and we'll catch up when I get back and talk more Bears.
All right, there he is. Will DeWitt jumping on for a second to give us his thoughts on the trade.
After Dark's going to be lit on Monday night.
Oh, yeah. Adam, do you see Skoronski, though, as a tackle or guard?
I still think he could play tackle, but I think the floor of him being a very good guard is right there to the Bears have needs inside and outside, so I'm perfectly okay with that. If that's what ends up happening, I think you
Especially
try
to
him.
get rid of Whitehair too, right? Whitehair is could be a guy that they post June 1st cut, right?
He
Someone
could,
that-
but I'm also not in a hurry to get rid of Whitehair just because there's veteran presence and you're doing fine against the cap. There's I don't think there's any reason to rush it, but also like Skronsky played right tackle as a freshman at Northwestern. So if you really like Braxton Jones, you can play Skronsky at right tackle, and that can be your. Now I still expect the Bears to probably sign a veteran right tackle option this coming week or two, but I think you can draft Skronsky and have options and not be stuck with being like, oh yeah, we used a top 10 pick on this guy, so he's got to be our franchise left tackle. I think that he could be your right tackle. I think he could be your left guard if you need him to be. I just think he's a really good, solid piece that you're adding to your offensive line, which is part of this equation of helping Justin Fields.
Well, let's pull up this super chat with JT because this is where I wanted to pivot to as far as Jalen Carter. He says, I'll be totally honest, I would go Jalen Carter. I know there's questions with character, but he has the talent and is worth it, in my opinion. If he's there at 9, would you guys be down with that draft?
I'm okay with it as long as, and they will, if the Bears made that move, they would not be just like taking a flyer on a guy. They would be having done their homework, having figured out exactly what happened, what's going to happen with the legal questions. And then beyond that, like, as we talked about last week, when the story broke and we were in Indianapolis, like, you got to even separate the incident that's now public that he's facing charges for with that car crash. You got to actually take that out and ask yourself, why were there already character questions before we knew about this, before it came out? Why were already people questioning, why the coaching staff had to ride him so hard, or the maturity issues or things like that? But this works both ways. You have players that are young and immature that get their shit together and turn out to have long Hall of Fame NFL careers. And then on the flip side, you have guys that are, and I don't feel like we talk about this enough either, you have guys that are so-called like perfect character guys in the draft that appear to love football, and then they get that first big paycheck, and all of a sudden they realize that there's other things in life that they love too. And it's not that they don't love football anymore. They're not all the way in. It's just they as you get older and you mature, that love can wear off or not be as top of a priority. So it works both ways. And that's why this is so hard and why there is no such thing as a sure thing. But to answer the original question, if the Bears do their due diligence and they feel like they can insulate this guy and put him in a position to succeed, I have not personally crossed Jalen Carter off my draft board, and I'm not sure that I'm going to, because you guys know how much I talked him up for the first 2 months of this process. The tape is there. The tape is great. And he could still be a huge piece of the puzzle for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and I think, too, you put him, again, in the right situation. And maybe that is the Bears at 9. And, the Bears they have an investment in the mental health and just look into everything that a player's going to go through as a transition from college to the NFL. And maybe that's something that Jalen Carter needs, just a new change of scenery. He's a professional now. This would be his job on a 24/7 basis, right? So maybe that's what he needs to get away from whatever's kind of, getting him involved in these certain situations. But yeah, no one. Is that a Mark Carman right next to Greg Braggs who made it to the United Center? It sure is. Wow. But yeah, maybe just needs a new change of scenery. And I'm going to shut up and let them fight over a chair, it looks like.
Oh, no. He's
Oh, my God.
He's sitting on Braggs' lap.
I'm so upset that my phone was doing whatever it was doing, but I just wanted to sit on Braggs' lap and celebrate this. This is a moment to have.
Aren't we? Look at us.
I mean,
look
come
at
on.
us. After all this Big Ten rivalry, look at us.
I mean, this has got to be worth some level of super chat right here. Bears. Bears. Bears.
You guys are ridiculous. What's the score of the game?
What's the score?
8-8.
8-8.
Sounds like a Big Ten burner.
He just bolted out of here. He's stressing.
Oh,
go enjoy your Carmness and your Northwestern. He should. This is too big of a game for him not to. I'm impressed he hung with us for as long as he did on the show. By the way, Packer fans are losing their minds. My text thread with my Packer friends. One of them is the Bears are going to have a better record than the Packers in a couple of years, aren't they?
Yes, they will.
I mean, they don't. What's their quarterback situation like? Without that, you're not doing anything in the NFL. And it's Jordan Love. No.
Whoever put this out for. Yes, now the Panthers are in a great spot. They could trade back to 2 with the Texans. They can play that dance now with the Texans and Colts because there's people that believe they want Stroud more than Bryce. So if they can get, I don't know how you can get an assurance in a trade like that, but if they could get any kind of assurance that who they trade with is going to take Bryce Young, then they move back to 2 with the Texans. Obviously, it would just be the Texans. Then they still take CJ Stroud. So
that would be the Panthers' motivation for making this deal so early. Other than Poles clearly being motivated to move it, and maybe there's multiple offers. We don't know. I already saw one thing that the most of this deal got put together last week, which makes a lot of sense. Sean 669 said 2,000 likes. Carm said he would rip his shirt off for 2,000 likes. I think he tried. Did he say he would, or did he try to pull down the number?
Yeah, he was trying to bring me, bargain basement me down to rip my shirt off and get fired from whatever I'm doing here.
I'm willing to hold Carm accountable for this though, and we can just say that he should have to do it on press row next to Dave Ennett.
I don't know.
It has to be on the broadcast tonight of that game. Aaron 999, great call by Bragg saying he wouldn't mind the trade all the way back with the Panthers. Okay, back to work. I go. Love the show, guys. You guys make me love looking forward to working my late nights. Appreciate you, Aaron. Thanks for working as hard as you do, baby.
I know the last time I took
just stop. You're not the only one that said trade with the Panthers.
Time out. See, now if you're going to say that, then I am going to take my victory lap because I've been saying this since December, January. Okay. And you, my friend, Adam Hogue, my friend.
Yeah.
So I prefaced it with my friend. You mocked me when I was obsessive about losing out, sitting fields. You mocked me.
There we go.
Yes, you did. And this was the reason why. And you're not the only one. All due respect, because you are our leader. You know a lot more about this game than I do. But I had my eyes on this prize. Now, did I know we were going to get a number 1 pick? Hell no. But the reason we needed to lose as many games as possible at the end of the year was for a moment like this. We would have never had that chance if we beat the Packers. Everybody at our studios wanted us to beat the Packers. For what? All these fans on Twitter vilifying me for rooting for the opposite. You guys would not have this moment right now. And no, nothing's a guarantee. So I am going to take the victory lap. I'm going to be going after a few people on Twitter that gave it to me hard during the season for this stance. But this was why, for this moment. And yes, I did identify the Panthers over the Colts, over the Texans. Why? Because we would not have gotten a haul like this from those other teams. So I will continue. Yes, go ahead. Play the clip.
Case scenario is Will Anderson. If they can't find a trade partner, your worst case scenario is Will Anderson. Will Anderson and Jalen Carter are not enough for me to move the needle to not trade back. So I'll take either one of those guys as my worst case scenario, whether it be only being able to trade back to 4 or staying at 1 because there is no trade partner. That's an amazing worst case scenario, but I have to trade back to 9. I'm obsessed with trading back to 9. I have to get future first round picks so I can have 2 next year or maybe even 2 the next 2 years. That's going to be what sets this franchise up for years to come. And then I'm going to trust Ryan Poles to find an impact player at 9 because, in my opinion, Will Anderson and Jalen Carter
get that
you
guy.
can cut it off all you want, but the genius is there. The meatball found something. Okay. So while we mess around, the Montgomery trade, little snafu. All right. Little bump in the road. But a foul ball. Well, we just hit a home run here, CHGO Bears. And I'm excited. So I'll take a little victory lap here. I'll take a bigger one on Twitter. I'll save the pompousness for Twitter. But I'm excited. And like Adam said, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that this was in my opinion, the best trade candidate for the Bears. Way to go, Ryan Poles. You're the man. I'll build you a brick statue tomorrow. Well, let's hit on a few picks first.
I see people in the comments. I left real quick. I forgot when I took up a Cardi poll. I have no idea when that happened. It happened at some point in the CHGO Bears podcast. Try to look if I have a Cardi. Don't have it. So yeah, I don't know why or how, or I don't have any. So I can't do the Bacardi poll for the live show. I'm sorry. I went to look, though.
Yeah, I am getting texts about also doing an emergency Hogan Johns episode 2, so I may have to pull the bourbon out for that one by the time we get to that point. So look, this is big news. Bears owning the NFL right now. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how much they've been in the discussion. This will slow it down a little bit. Thank you, Tanner, for hitting subscribe. Everyone else who's watching here for the first time, please hit subscribe right now and notifications. If you're here, it's because you care about this news, and I promise you there's going to be more news in the next week, maybe even days, and we are going to go live and do the emergency pods every time it happens. So please do hit subscribe and hit that notification button so you know when we go live. Where are we at on the likes, too? I don't have it in front of me. 1 million? No, not quite the 1 million. That'd be good.
Oh, wait. Is that right? Only 1.7 thousand?
No, because you got to go out and come back in. It's at 2,000 likes right now.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. All right. Well, we appreciate all the
pretty
support.
Good number. I might have set a record.
I think
so.
I think it did. And I forgot what else I was going to say. Oh, just that, the Bears, I don't know, though, man. I think Poles is making big moves. I still think there's going to be a big signing. I thought there would be a big trade for veteran. I've been saying that. Now, maybe that's this one. Maybe that's, they got 2 and 1 here. So maybe I still think there's going to be another move early next week. And I think there's going to be at least one big free agent signing as well. If I had to put my money on it right now, it's maybe a 3 technique, maybe a Draymond Jones or something like that. But it's going to be fun. Can't wait to see how it all plays out. And getting this trade done now, it gives you the weekend to really set your free agency board, be disciplined in your values. You got that wide receiver that you wanted that wasn't really accessible. That's the big part of it. Like, let's be honest. Like, there was not a big wide receiver in free agency staring at you, or even one in the draft. I mean, as much as I like Jaxon Smith-Njigba, who maybe they go after, like every single one of these guys, it's not the same wide receiver class that you had last year in the draft. And you managed to pull that off in this draft trade today. And as we've said many times on the show, you can still move back again, maybe on draft night. Would not shock me if that happens. So, Braggs, you still with us? You're out of here.
No, I'm still here. I'm just looking around. If Grant Hill walks by, he's coming on the show. That's all I'm saying. He's got no choice. If he walks by me, he's literally, I'm interviewing him right here, right now. But he's probably working.
All right. Joey, I think if we have a couple minutes, we could still jump in with a couple more super chats. I know it sounds like we have a ton.
I know every time we bring it up, more come in.
I know.
Seriously.
We'll fly through these and then we'll probably end the show. But we got a lot of opportunities here to continue the conversation, and we will do so. Doug Van Dorn, who's your choice for a second trade down partner? Well, just off the top of my head, I'm going to go with what I did in my mock draft today, and that's the Texans. They don't take their guy at 2. I think they come and play if a quarterback falls. And I think now that's the game you want to play if you're the Bears. Like on draft night, you're hoping one of those quarterbacks falls and is still available there, and the team wants to come up and get it. Aaron, who jumped in earlier with the super chat, $4.99 graveyard shifter here, wanted to jump in quick to ask you guys, do you think Poles trades back up a little earlier in the second or stay put where we are? And that's a possibility. You now have 2 second-round picks to work with.
Yeah.
You could package those and move up. And again, that third-round pick is the first pick in the third round, so it's basically a second-rounder. Gary 499. Any concern with the large gap between 9 and 54? How do we get another early mid second rounder to not allow a ton of talent to get off the board? That's my one. The one thing that doesn't make this perfect, right, is that you don't have that early second round pick still. But there's a lot of time left, right? And maybe you can get that with another trade back in the first round and add more capital that way.
Let a quarterback fall. Like kind of what you were highlighting in your mock draft there, Adam. If one does and a team gets to 9 and there's still a QB there, that could be an option, Gary, for someone to move up and maybe you can get draft capital.
So, and I'm going to put this in Braggs' hands because, we've controlled the narrative on this show about how great the quarterbacks are, right? All the quarterbacks are so good because you got to come to now they all suck.
Yes.
Now they all should fall.
Suckers.
Now they should all fall to number 9. So I think as a show, we need to flip on that stance. And all these quarterbacks are now not as good as they
if
were.
we really, not personally bash Anthony Richardson, but if we want to say he puts ketchup on his hot dog, he doesn't.
The one guy puts mayo in his.
He doesn't
coffee.
like puppies.
Will Levis,
those two guys are our targets now because C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young probably going to get taken before that. But Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, they don't like puppies. That's what I heard.
That's a problem. You can't draft that guy any sooner than 9. So you have to go up and trade it. So
yeah,
I don't like puppies.
Couple interesting comments there. Sorry, one is you could look at it like Clay. Andre said we got Claypool and DJ Moore as your second round pick. I mean, that's one way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Wolf says Velus Jones Jr. is 27 days younger than DJ Moore.
That's true.
And DJ Moore's going into year 6. When I brought up his player profile, I did not realize he was still only 25. I was like, whoa. He just seems like he's been in the league forever already.
And, everyone wants to joke on Velus Jones, but the more they add to this wide receiver room, the more he becomes an asset at the back of that room.
Yeah.
You put him in the 4th or 5th slot in that wide receiver room. Now he can do exactly what a third-round wide receiver pick should do. Return kicks, have a package of plays, keep defenses on their toes when he's out there, but not somebody that's a focal point of the offense. People picked on Velus Jones because, we all wanted a wide receiver. We didn't get him in the second round, get him in the third round. Now you pin all these hopes on him, expectations, some probably unfair. Now he can be exactly who he is for this team.
All right. Now I will say this, and this is going to be a year from now, so we can mark the tape. But I will say this, Braggs. If the Bears end up drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. a year from now, then you can take your victory lap.
No, I'm going to take it today. And then I'll take another one next year, too. I mean, my last name's Braggs. Hogue. I mean, what I'm.
You got to brag.
I mean, it's already. People are giving me my flowers on Twitter. You don't have to give me my flowers. That's fine. I know we're having this Big Ten rivalry thing going on. That's fine. I'll give them to myself on here. The chat. Shout out to the chat. They know what's up. You're insider here. Look at us. Look at us. You've taught me so well, Adam.
Now the inmate is. I'm not taking any credit for it. No, I don't want to take credit. I don't want any credit.
This is all your fault. The higher I climb,
that's one way to.
It's your fault.
Yeah, I'll accept the blame. Yeah. Okay. Robert says Braggs took the L with his fake Montgomery trade. Let him have this.
See? Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. All right. We're going to end this show. It's been an hour and a half of an emergency podcast. It's been crazy.
I'll stay on with all the super chats till midnight.
Hey, Greg, if Adam, you need to bounce, we could get these likes up. I'll do a shot of Malort if we get 2.5 thousand, 3,000. I'm down to stay with you and talk a little bit more, Greg.
If you guys want to keep going, you can.
No.
I got no problem with it.
Tune in Monday afternoon. Hogue's going to be prepared. Dialed in. Nick's going to be dialed in. Carm's going to be doing whatever Carm does. And then Monday night.
I'm going to actually tell you something about Monday, because we actually haven't even talked about this as a show. But I was thinking about this today. So Monday shows at noon, right? We always go live at noon every day, Monday through Friday. If you're new here, hit subscribe. Make sure you're there with us. But the free agency window, negotiating window, starts at 11. So we're going to be prepared to go early. So we're going to keep our show time at noon. But if something big happens in that first hour before we're actually live, boom, we're going on early, and we'll continue going as long as we need to on Monday, because it's going to be an extravaganza. It's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully we see some more action happen early on in that window. I think they made like the Larry Ogunjobi deal like right after we went off the air last year on that first day.
Yeah.
So
I remember
let's hope that doesn't happen again. And then of course that ended up falling through. So we'll be there for you all next week, even over the weekend. If something happens, we'll jump on. But it was nice for them to get this thing done before the weekend actually started.
Yep.
Not nice for Carm though. Any Northwood Kevin Fishbane's got to be just pissed right now. All right. Follow us on Twitter at Adam Hogue, at Nicholas Moriano, at G Braggs Jr. 23, where he will be bragging. He is Braggs the Bragger.
Breaking more news. You never know. I'm still pushing my chips on Aaron Rodgers retiring. Nobody wants to believe me, but maybe I'll get that one wrong.
Well, I will say, when those tweets started coming in, it turned out to be the Bears trade today. I thought it was the Aaron Rodgers news because, I mean, Mark Murphy's at the Wisconsin State tournament today doing an interview, just talking about Aaron Rodgers in the past tense like he's dead. I'm like, okay, I don't think he's coming back to Green Bay.
I mean, if his choices are the Jets or the Raiders, I'd probably retire too. So all in on that still. If I get that wrong, then we'll even it out here on what I call.
All right. Well, there's probably going to be movement there soon as well. All right. We're out of here. Make sure you are following all of, I'm sure Nick will have something written here too, at some point in the next couple of days, recapping all this. So allchgo.com, allchgo.com/diehard. Come join us. We got a lot of things coming up. You're going to want to be a diehard to get discounts on events and merch, and join our database for free agency this coming week. It's going to be a huge resource for us, and we're sharing it with you. You get inside access with our free agency database as well as our NFL draft board. So that's all there for you at allchgo.com/diehard. Hit subscribe, hit notifications, hit that like button before we get out of here. We appreciate all the support tonight and going forward. And I have a feeling we'll be talking to you very, very soon.